Welcome to How Law Started podcast in North Iowa. My name is Erick and Nganyange, and my guest today, actually my two special guests today, Jani Dahlin and Molly Gummert. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Living Free Ministry. Jani started 2016.
Yes.
Take me back. Why did you want to do that? No. You know what? Let me go back. Explain what is Living Free. What is that?
Living Free is a ministry for women who are seeking recovery from addictions. And so we're there to help provide an environment where they can get away from some of the not so good influences, as well as a place where they can be encouraged and further equipped spiritually and practically in things of life, and be able to hopefully gain the goal that they have of living a life where they don't have addictions a part of those life, and be able to just live out their hopes and dreams.
Is that for just addiction, or I think I read also incarceration, or is that kind of play both?
Kind of plays both. We have done post-incarceration as well, but usually addictions is kind of in the mix of all that.
How many women you have right now currently?
Right now, our house is full with 4 women. And then we just are getting ready to open a second house, which will be additional 3 women right next door.
How long does these women stay in the houses? Do you have time period?
Right now our program is 6 months.
Okay.
But then they can apply for a long-term living, because we've seen several ladies who really just aren't ready to live on their own, and or they don't have supportive family or community of people, and before long those negative people just start wearing them down, and it doesn't go well. So we feel it's worth giving up a spot
for a longer
term, say maybe up to 2 years.
Oh, okay. So when they live in there, what is the requirement? Do they pay rent, pay bills?
Yeah, they pay a residential fee. They have to work preferably at least 30 hours a week. Okay. Because we don't have programming during the day, and we're all volunteers. So us volunteers are working jobs as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just part of that transitioning of being responsible for yourself, paying your bills. And then we have volunteers that work with each individual person. They have a transitional coach that meets with them once a week that kind of talks about just all the things of life, from budgeting to relationships to future plans, all of that. Then we have a spiritual advisor that meets with them once a week individually. And that person is kind of more looking at the inward things of, where are they at emotionally, spiritually, working on their relationship with God, which we feel is foundational to a transformed life, and kind of what are their next steps in pursuing and growing in that? What questions do they have? Okay. Then they have to go to Celebrate Recovery, which we started one in October here in the community. So they have to go to that and participate in all aspects of it. And then they also have to attend a church of their choosing on Sunday mornings.
So you're not forcing them to come to praise?
No, they get to choose whatever church they want to go to. Okay. So, and then we have a weekly house meeting, and we try to also put in some additional practical teaching during that time, just a short period of time, because they keep pretty busy.
Oh, okay. So the volunteer people who help them with the budgeting, I'm assuming finance and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. These are all local people?
They're all time. Local people. In fact, most of them are retired women who are, just ready to be able to give and be involved in helping others.
Okay, and I'm assuming all volunteers, the requirement, they have to be women?
Yeah, for the most part, although we have some maintenance issues that...
require some men. Yeah.
So...
Now, from 2016 until we're in 2024, this 8 years later, how many women came through? And
we probably have had around, I would guess, 30.
30?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How many out of 30? Because kicking off addiction is a very, very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who was addicted and they were able to kick off once and not relapse. So how many of those cases that people try to kick it off and come back in, try to kick it off and come back in, how many of those do you have? Molly's smiling. Because you say this, Molly, is your third time?
Yes, this is my third time.
Okay. What is your struggle? What is that drug of choice or addiction? What type of addiction?
I've been a meth addict for 20 years. It comes down to fully surrendering my will over to the care of God, because not having something to mindfully go off of and like any strengths to gain through your faith and stuff like that helps me a lot, because it's just, like you said, it's not easy. And I fell over time and time again. And I am and was completely hopeless. I didn't have anywhere to turn. I just pretty much had to, buck up and say, you got to do what you got to do if you want to survive or even have a meaningful life. So.
Yeah. How did you find living free? How did that happen?
I went to an outpatient program in Marshalltown, Iowa, and they had transferred me up here to the homeless shelter.
Okay.
And I had heard that it was a resource to get a hold of Living Free. They used to have the Beacon uptown on State Street where you could go, it was kind of a safe place where if you wanted to watch, movies, you could watch movies, or if you wanted to go to a group, you can go to group. So I just showed up there one night, and then I talked to Jani and Cheryl both and was given the opportunity.
I want to go back a little bit in your life. How did you end up in meth?
I was introduced to meth with my older brother.
Is he clean? Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Is he? Okay. So he was using, and then you got introduced, and then he got clean?
Well, I mean, he struggles too. But right now, he's safe where he's at. And that's one of my main, concerns in my life is right now I'm safe where I don't have to, go worry about dealing with people that don't have any, goals or aren't thinking about anything but that, I guess.
And that's what it goes back to what you just say, the support system.
Right.
That's what you guys kind of providing support system, and then you around people who going the same struggles you do. They're trying to get out of that. I'll come back to you, Molly. Why did you want to start this ministry?
Well, probably in 2012 or 13, I had gone out to the jail to visit a woman who was going to our church at the time, and she was in the jail, and I realized I should go visit her. So I kind of, a little nervously, went out there after I got some instruction. You might not come home? I just had never been to the jail before.
Yeah.
And so I went out there, and the administrator at that time also went to our church at that time. And when I called for instruction, he said, well, there's another lady here that I bet she'd like a visit too, because she's been to our church. Oh. And I was like, okay. So I went out there, visited the one I knew, and then I visited the other one, took them each a Bible. Yeah. And the one that I knew, she said, I'm going to be here for 6 months. I've been sentenced to stay here for 6 months. And I said, well, I'll come back in a month. I thought that seemed a reasonable amount of time. We'll pace ourselves. Yeah. So the next week I received a letter from her, and she just talked about how much the visit meant to her. And then she gave me a list of 5 other women in the jail who wanted me to visit them.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's where basically the ministry was born?
Yeah. And so I started going every other week, visiting her, visiting whoever else individually. And then I realized God had opened a door for something that was not at all on my radar. And she was going to be finished soon. So I asked the jailer friend, well, what can I do next? Because she's kind of my source. And he said, well, you could start a Bible study. And so I started a Bible study at the jail, and I did that. It ended up being for 8 years. going every Monday and doing Bible study with whatever women at the jail wanted to come and be in Bible study.
And this was just Mason City Jail?
Yes, the Cerro Gordo County Jail. Yeah. After a few years, I mean, it was a great blessing to go. And, I was very nervous when I first went, feeling like, what relevancy are they going to feel I have, coming in here? But I just saw great hope and desire in their eyes, and often expressed. And when I get out, I'm going to do this and that. And most of the time I would come to discover later that this and that didn't happen, and because they would come right back to the jail. And so just realizing that, it's great to come and share good news and potential and hope and God's love, but to actually have it come and infiltrate into their life and become a part of them required a lot more than a Monday Bible study. And so that's where the vision for Living Free came.
Okay. How many women were attending these Bible studies?
Well, it varied on how many people were there. Okay. I've had as many as 12 to 1. Okay. But every time I went, there was someone that wanted to come. So, I mean, until I would say after COVID was the first time I would go sometimes and I'd be told no one wants to come. But before that, I never had that happen.
Wow. I'm assuming that these women goes in there, they probably get clean for that whatever long time they're in, 6 months. But then when they get out, there's no support.
Well, it's back to the same, what they call playgrounds, people, and places, so you've got to be able to change your community. That's pretty hard to do unless there's a community offering to receive you.
Molly, was that the same struggle you had?
Yeah.
That have you ever been locked up?
Oh, yeah.
What was the longest you've been in jail?
Like 8 months.
8 months. So you get clean when you're in there, and then you come out. The same playground, what Jenny's saying. It's
mainly by not, having, sometimes it comes down to being open-minded and your willingness
to do something new.
And also have, it's taken a lot of my surroundings and my groups and stuff that I do get to go to, being able to have, a full schedule and...
Oh, being busy.
Yeah. As long as you stay busy, you'll be all right.
Okay. Molly said her struggle is meth. What's the other drug of choice you see these women struggling with?
Well, there's a lot of alcohol. We've had a lot of people with alcohol issues. I don't know if there's any other particular one. I mean, occasionally there's heroin but meth is the main one.
Because in our state, I think in the Midwest, I think that's the biggest drug of choice.
Yeah, most readily available.
Yeah.
With Living Free, being able to have the opportunity to, come out of yourself and having your advisor is just be willing to take the advice that's given or, just grasp the manner of hope that is offered. It helps to, just continue to want to be clean.
Yeah.
I mean, I get stronger and stronger every day, but I still have those thoughts, but it's just
if you've been addicted for 20 years, it's going to take a minute to kick that off. It's not going to be just like that.
Yeah. Well, we believe the spiritual is a really significant thing, and I think statistically it's proven that having a meaningful relationship with God is a power and a key thing that can really make a big difference for people. I'm a Christian. I've been a pastor in the past, and for me, that I know for my life, it makes all the difference in bringing about change in my life. And so we make it clear to the applicants that, that is our foundational perspective is a Christian Bible-based perspective, and they don't have to be Christians to come and stay and participate, nor are we there to force anything on anyone. But as long as they're open to hearing what's being shared and, willing to consider what they're hearing, then it won't be any problem at all for them to come and stay at the house.
Yeah. I think you have Celebrate Recovery.
Right.
So is that part of Living Free?
Well, we're the ones that initiated it and started it, and we have kind of we're definitely part of the leadership of it. And
Okay.
It was our goal, though, to have people from other parts of the community to come and help lead that, because it's a lot of responsibility. Yeah. So we do have people from several, like 4 or 5 different churches that are on the leadership team.
Okay. And what is that? Is that people basically, after they become clean?
No, it's just, it's kind of an alternative to AA, only it's a Christ-centered recovery program.
Oh, okay.
And it's also not just about substances. It's about any hurts, habits, or hang-ups that people have. So, I mean, it's something I benefit from. As leaders, we all benefit from it as far as our hurts, habits, and hang-ups that we are continuing to work through in our life. It's an international program.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an international program. It was started at Saddleback Church in California. Rick Warren.
How about say
it was underneath his leadership, but he didn't start it, but it was while he was pastoring there. That it was started. And they have a lot of requirements. You can only use their material, and there's various requirements that, you have to fulfill. In fact, we were just approved last week as an official Celebrate Recovery. So then we're on their website. So when people are looking for a Celebrate Recovery as they move or travel, they can put that, Mason City, Iowa in, and it will pull us up as an approved Celebrate Recovery.
Oh, okay.
So,
nice.
So we've been having like 30 to 40 people coming.
Is that every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday night, at Praise Community Church. And so we have a complimentary meal at 5:15, then we have a large group at 6, and then we have open share groups at 7 for men or women. The one that we really recommend people to eventually get into is a step study, which walks people through in a small group with the same people, the 12 steps, and helps you to really apply them instead of kind of coming and have a little more passivity that you can have just by attending Tuesday nights. Okay. So all of our residents are in the step study group, which is also on Tuesday night.
Oh, okay. The residents in the Living Free? Yeah. Okay. Is it required? They have to be? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So do they have curfew when they leave in
they have
your
to
residence?
They have to be home at 9, and then, there's always situations, work or whatever, and they just have to be communicating that, and they all have chores, and each week they're checked to make sure things are being done. Okay. We have cameras on the outside of the house, even though we don't have anyone that lives there to supervise. We have cameras that, alert us to activities. Okay. So we are able to kind of keep an eye on things that way. It's worked out well. We used to have someone that lived at the house and supervised, but we feel like it's a lot better. Well, it's not really good, I think, for someone to live there and supervise. It's not the best. You kind of need your own space. Yeah. And then also, I think it's just better for the women to feel like, a sense that we are responsible. Mm-hmm. We're here, we're responsible for upkeeping the house and all that. Once again, another important part of transitioning towards independence.
Okay. How do you help them while they're living in the house to be clean?
Well, we do testing. We do random drug and breathalyzer tests, usually, especially with a full house, usually every week. And then if we have anyone that does slip up, then, we kind of amp that up. But we kind of have a three strike rule. So, someone could relapse and they'll get a strike. We feel like that.
How is that 3 strikes works and for how long?
It's just for as long as they live there. If they're only going to live there for 6 months, But, I mean, unfortunately, once somebody relapses, it's very uncommon for them to pull out of that. But it does happen. I mean, we've had, some people, of course, that they realize that, I don't want to lose this opportunity, and they pull it together. But otherwise, it just ends up being strike, and then we have to let them go.
Okay. How many of those cases happen out of the 30?
Oh, a lot.
Okay.
Part of the problem was that we were newbies. I mean, we didn't even know how to work a breathalyzer or what the numbers meant, I mean, we just kind of thought, wow, God's just being highly entertained here by this assignment. So, I mean, we're just newbies. I mean, I've not had that particular, issue in my background. Our main house supervisor hasn't had those particular issues in her background. So, it's been just a learning process. Yeah. And then also discerning who to say yes to, kind of being able to discern who you feel is really ready and serious and ready for a transitional place versus they really need more treatment. They need or they need a more structured environment where there's more programming, because we don't have a lot of programming. Okay. So, sometimes now we've learned to tell someone that, no, you really need one more step. You're not gonna probably make it at our house.
You had to tell people no.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is probably not a good fit.
Yeah, and that was the problem in the beginning. We weren't saying no enough. Another problem is we were getting a lot of people out of incarceration. And when you're coming out of prison, you have to have a place to go before they'll let you leave. Oh. So we were kind of being used a little bit in that way. Our main source right now for people is Prairie Ridge. Okay. So when women finish their 28 days of treatment, which is not very many days, then Prairie Ridge will let them know of our availability here and, kind of we'll go over and interview them if they are interested and apply. Then we'll decide if this is a good next step. But we've told quite a few no because some of them were forced to go to Prairie Ridge. Oh. And then they'll say to us at least, now that I'm here, I've decided I really do want this. And it's like, well, that's great, but you decided that last week and we're a transitional house. So, we kind of refer them to some other places where they'll go and they'll do a lot of programming throughout the day. And, that's just, they need to be active, working a lot further along than what we're really ready for usually. Mm.
It does take, you got to really work hard to get to a place that, you're not just going to get out and you're going to be able to go anywhere you want. Even if you have a curfew of 9, I mean, it's going to take a choice on what you're going to decide to do with your day. And, I mean, I've hit the streets after, treatment many times. And the first 2 times I was in the house, I wasn't able to let go of, even a relationship that was toxic, or just to get out of that realm of the using world was really hard.
Because it's like a club.
Yeah. I wanted to come back to the house, and Jani had told me, well, I don't think you're ready, go to this place, which was, I don't remember what it was called.
Oh, the 180 probably.
The 180 place. But I ended up going to Fort Dodge, and they have the YWCA up there that's a long-term treatment program. And I did, their full treatment program twice, and it's like 6 months. So I completed it 3 days before I was supposed to complete the program. I had relapsed and left. Hit the streets again for another 4 months, and then I had someone tell me that if I didn't check myself into treatment, that they're going to do an emergency committal on me. So
what is that? What does that mean?
Pretty much call and have me committed through I don't know, like society's eyes. Yeah. Okay. And so I checked back into that treatment center, and it took I've been trying to get this right for the past 4 years now, and it's taken 4 different treatment centers, and and with Living Free giving me a chance, it saved my life, really. Yeah. And it is saving my life. So yeah.
So 3 times on the Living Free, how long were you there the first time?
I would guess 3 months or so, because the second time you were there about 6 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In our program, we've varied, we're always tweaking, which way to go with different things. So we've had various allotted amount of times that someone can be there. Yeah. But, I see Molly staying more long-term this time. Okay. And, starting to maybe be a helper and stuff. So, but every time she's come, she's been different. she's more engaged with what she really wants. She builds on the things that she's gained in the past. And definitely, I think spiritually, I think that she has, you know, really grown a lot. I don't know that the spiritual was really much of part of her life before. And the ones that we see really do well, they do start owning that relationship with God, and they start really seeing that as their main hope. And
I think like Molly said, you gotta want this more than the people offering you help.
Yeah, I think Molly sees it as life and death.
Yeah, I do.
You think if you don't get clean, it might be the end of it?
Yeah, especially, I mean, 20 years is a long time, but especially with how much things have changed as far as, you know, the potency of it, and just like people are dying left and right from it.
That's true.
Like, I get that your addiction kind of, if it's really strong, it'll make you complacent into your options and what you want to do. But like I said, I was completely hopeless. And I do believe it's a Jesus thing and a God thing that I'm here today, and being able to walk through living free again just completely change, you know, what my focus is in life, because I was just kept going on a unmeaningful path.
How often were you using? A couple times a week, a couple times a day, once a week? How?
At first it was every day, and I stayed high for, you know, months on end. They call those binges, but then there was days where, you know, it just varies. Okay. I guess.
Did you work? Because you couldn't work when you're that high.
No.
How did you support yourself?
I don't know. Like, I was pretty young, so like I hung out with an older crowd. And
how old were you when you started?
I was 14 years old.
Oh wow, that's young.
I was babysitting for someone that manufactured
really
the meth, and my brother was good friends with him, and they had been gone for a few days, and I had, you know, call my mom and tell her, you know, I'm babysitting this kid, his parent isn't home yet, you know, I can't come home. Well, finally they came home, and my brother ended up telling me to try this, and he told me he told me how to do it, and then as soon as I did it, I was hooked. So every time that they needed a babysitter, I was there, but I didn't really, I mean, I got paid in cash sometimes, but like, it turned out that I wanted the drugs instead of the money. So I did that for a long time.
How old was your brother at that time?
16.
Oh, so he was just 2 years older than you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Do you blame him for that?
I've been trying to work through that question, because, I mean, he's my older brother, and he knows right from wrong, but I mean, I knew right from wrong too, and I didn't know that I was gonna get, you know, hooked from that drug like I did. I mean, he was introduced to it too, so I kind of wager on whether I can blame him or not. Like, I don't want to blame him, because, I mean, it is what it is. It's just complete addiction in itself.
Forgive him?
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you see the future of living free?
I don't know. I mean, it's got all kinds of potential. I would say it's really hard to find volunteers, though. I was very surprised, just because I know for me, you know, I went to college, then I went to seminary. I was a pastor for 5 years, and then I, you know, stayed home and raised 6 children. But when I went into ministry, and of course my husband's a pastor, my greatest fear was that I wouldn't actually live out what it looks like to live like Jesus in the world, because it feels like a lot of times church has its own identity, and sometimes it just has nothing to do with Jesus.
Amen to that.
And I really was terrified that I would just get swallowed up in the church thing and not get to live like Jesus in the world. And that is to be out amongst the people of the world who are needing to hear the good news of Jesus, just like Jesus and the disciples did. And, so I was looking, like, how do you do that? How do you get out there and be with the people of the world? And I just couldn't find it. So obviously God faithfully opened the door in a way that I had no idea. I would have never been able to open that door or even think to go that way.
Jail, yeah.
I'll just go over to the jail. Yeah. And the jail is an amazing place because, people, you have a captive audience.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you go out into the world and say, who wants to come to Bible study? It's hard to get people in the church to come to Bible study.
I like that piece. I might cut that piece and say, the jail is an amazing place. And I just leave that piece by itself.
Yeah, that's right. It's like,
It's what Pastor Jani said.
Yeah. Well, and it is. It is like, it's like Jonah in the belly of the whale. And we would talk about that sometimes at different, studies.
Yeah.
But, here you are in the belly of the whale. You get time to repent. You get time to reflect. You get time to reconsider. It's that, that stop off on the road to destruction where you get a chance to reconsider your ways and to try to discover a better path. Yeah. And I get to show up there and say, hey, I've got some suggestions. And they're often ready to hear it, because especially at the jail versus a prison, there's nothing to do. It's a really powerful time. And thankfully now there is another group of ladies doing the Bible study. I stepped down because I feel like I've got enough resources now of people that I can be involved with is part of the issue. It's a difficult place to be, I think, spiritually, just because it's dark. It's just a heavy place to be. I don't know how people work there, but it's not easy.
The last 8 years you've been doing this. Do you feel like this is your calling?
I guess I don't know. I've typically been more of a starter kind of person. I've been a part of starting a variety of different things. And so I guess I'm always ready for what's next. So, we are expanding, and as God opens the doors, then I just go through them. So I guess to say, what does it look like down the road? I surrender that to the Lord, because I can have big, grandiose ideas and really set myself up for disappointment. But I'm very content, because the lives that we have the chance to be a part of and the women we do serve, whether it's 4 and now potentially 7 at a time with our second house, they're very, very sacred lives, and so there's a lot of depth and meaningfulness in serving the handful that we serve at a time.
You mentioned about volunteers. So if I ask you, say, what type of volunteers are you looking for?
Well, we are looking for Christian women, because that is the foundation of what we do and why we're doing it. And then otherwise, it's a woman who can sit with another woman and kind of encourage them and share with them. Spiritual advisors, that is another level of spiritual maturity that we look for a spiritual advisor. But for the transition coach, it's just any woman who's willing to give an hour a week, up to an hour a week, to go by the house and visit with that one resident that they've said yes to taking on. And we give them a whole checklist of topics that they can go through and discuss with that person. And then they can kind of begin to get a feel for where's the things we need to do some ongoing work on. And then there's flexibility if there's other things that they would like to explore together, whether it's topics or whether they want to do a devotion together and talk about it, or they're welcome to bring in that element if they want to.
And for the men, they can write a check.
Yes, we welcome some money. We are an all volunteer ministry. That's really all we can afford to be. Financially, it just costs too much. I think it's it works out fine. With the type of house we have. And
how can people give to?
Well, we have a website which is livingfreeiowa, all spelled out. .com. And so we have a website with more information, a place that you can donate. You can sign up to do automatic monthly withdrawals if you want. We also just put a newsletter together that we'll be putting on there that kind of talks about this new second house, because we have to fully furnish that house. So we're going to be getting furniture and kitchen stuff and all that. So we have kind of a big project coming up. We're hoping to be in that house by July, but a couple said if we found a house we liked, they'd buy it and rent it to us. And then we waited and waited and waited, and then all of a sudden I noticed the neighbors were moving out.
So that's the house next to the house that you guys already have.
Yeah, in fact, it has the exact same siding and everything as the house we have. So they kind of were meant to be together. So they came and looked at it, they bought it, and then they're going to fix it up, some of the things that need to be fixed up, and then they'll start renting to us in July.
Oh, so this couple, they just say, we're going to buy the house.
Yep.
And we're going to rent to you guys. I'm assuming they're probably going to rent to you guys a little bit cheaper than the fair market.
Yeah, it's a little cheaper,
Nice.
and then they're fixing it up the way we want it. And it's really, I know that in the end, it might be beneficial to them, but it's really a gift. Yeah.
So volunteers and cash donation, basically.
Yeah.
If you can, on the website.
Right.
Counseling. So you also do a lot of counseling, or is that just part of that one-to-one?
I enjoy doing one-on-one counseling, pastoral counseling, so biblical counseling. I'd love to see a pastoral counseling center open up in Mason City where people can come and get Christian perspective, but I just don't know who else would want to do something like that. Yeah.
Was there anything like Living Free in Mason City before you started?
Well, Ken Quintus had a similar ministry for men, and he's the one that then I went to, and he helped us. We started having some Saturday meetings for anyone interested in opening a women's. So we kind of started that way. And then that's where I met several of our volunteers that we still have.
Okay.
And then we got our 501c3 and launched in April of 2016. Then it was just a matter of, okay, how do we work up to having a house, you know?
And how did the first house happen?
Well, we actually rented a house at first, but we just had meetings in it because we really weren't ready for the responsibility of residents yet. So we had enough contacts that we just started having meetings, support meetings and stuff. And then there was a gentleman in town who I know wouldn't want to be mentioned. He said that he would buy a house and sell it to us on contract. So we found the house that we have now, and he bought it and then sold it to us on contract. And then after 2 years, we got a bank loan and we paid him off.
Oh, wow.
And so we actually, our house loan on that house is down to like $11,000 now. So it's almost paid off.
Okay. North Iowa, if somebody got $11,000 sitting around, write a check.
Yeah. So we've had just a variety of people that have helped us in that way. So once again, at first we started just having meetings there, but then we decided we were ready for residency. And then we decided, well, now we can't have our office and stuff here. So then we ended up in a agreed upon shared ministry with Ken Quintus and with the River City House of Prayer. And we rented that building on State Street and named it the Beacon. And that was cool too. We weren't sure what to name it. So we thought, we batted around a bunch of different names, and we thought, the Beacon sounds like a good idea. And then so somebody asked us later, where'd you get that name? And we said, well, it has no significance. And they said, well, yeah, it does, because that used to be the Beacon Apple computer store.
But you did not even know?
So here we were. Yeah. So it's just lots of ways that we feel God just kind of continues to confirm, and even waiting for God's provision on a second house and getting one right next door that looks just like the one we have. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. If you can run through a couple things that will be needed for that new house, just in case somebody's going to hear and be like, hey, I have extra couch. I'm not using it.
Yeah. So for the new house, we're looking for obviously gently used or newer items, and just all the things that a house would need.
Yeah.
Twin beds in the 3 bedrooms, dressers in the 3 bedrooms, nightstand, then it's a small living room. So just some living room furniture. It's a small kitchen. But all the kitchen supplies, dishes and cooking ware and trash can, all that stuff. We'll be putting cameras on the outside again, like we do at the other house. A washer and dryer. We need that for the basement. Just that kind of stuff.
Molly, so what next for you after this is all said and done? What do you want to do?
I want to be able to stay structured.
Okay.
And, like God's writing my story. So I was in the complete despair when I first came up to Mason City in 2019. The Beacon was just right around the corner from the homeless shelter. And just to start engaging and seeing the world in a different perspective.
Yeah.
And, kind of grasping on to a manner of living that's going to be resourceful, I guess.
Yeah. So you came to Mason City 2019. Where were you born and where you grew up at?
Marshalltown, Iowa.
Marshalltown. What brought you to Mason City in 2019?
Well, Marshalltown does not have any options for people that are literally homeless and in despair. So I went to the jail. I actually had left the jail and went to the outpatient clinic in Marshalltown. And I told the lady, I said, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm going to hit the street. I'm going to be high. It's going to be over. I need to do something different. The lady had said, okay, well, we'll call Mason City and you can get into the homeless shelter up there.
Yeah.
So we called there, and they said that I could come, and she brought me up here herself.
Oh, really?
And it was kind of a wake up moment, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's crazy that people leave jail and they don't have place to go.
Yeah.
And
especially when you want to stay clean and you know that there's no option to stay clean, really.
Yeah, and definitely you're going to fall back to the same thing because that's the familiar things that you know.
Yeah.
And so she was willing to leave her hometown where her mother and her family and
that's courage.
Everyone she knew and come up to some place where she knows nobody.
Yeah, that's courage because that's a thing that a lot of people cannot do that.
Yeah.
And that's when you start falling back on the same traps.
Yeah. And those traps, like, they're everywhere you turn. Like I said, it's taken me 4 years to just know that it's either you stay clean or you're just gonna give up and eventually gonna probably be dead. Like I'm trying to get more focused on where the benefits are at and where the genuine friendship lies, where the support system is gonna take me. And I believe it's a spiritual thing because you can't do that without feeling the grace and having the hope of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When hard times start hitting, how do you do? Maybe this question for both of you guys. Do you have people that you can call that can help you to get through those hard days? Because we all get those. And if you are addicted to drugs, that's the quickest way to say, let me do this to get away from what I'm going through it. What do you do now?
Like Jani is pretty strong on building a solid foundation. I think I take that from her because if you're going to meetings and you're hitting Celebrate Recovery, and you're engaging with your spiritual advisor or your coach, I mean you're gonna take bits and pieces if you're ready.
Yeah.
I mean it does take because I know meth addiction is really strong, but it takes it's just when is enough. So it has to be enough for you to not want to, and it also takes a reality check because you have to be able to have someone pull you out of that, give you the opportunities as far as what living free gives me, a roof over my head, a safe and genuine place to go. If I need somebody, I have people I can call. But like I know that as far as like taking action and Celebrate Recovery, or even being able to share in those groups, you gain the genuine sincerity and you start cultivating, the
relationship.
willingness.
Yeah. So there's people there you can like call and be like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
hitting the wall today. It's not a good day.
And like going to meetings too, like hearing other people share, where their problems are at, like AA and NA, and you develop relationships through those programs as well.
Yeah.
And I know that I still get those thoughts, like
Oh yeah, man.
right around the corner,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
I have yet to build, a fully solid, plan or just be like, I got this, you
Yeah.
know. I know that it takes action.
Yeah. And I think it's gonna be one of those things you're constantly gonna be fighting those demons for
Yeah.
the rest of your life. Yeah. This is a great thing
Yeah.
you're doing. I talked to you so many times. We crossed paths. I knew you were doing it until Cheryl brought it up, and I was like, "How come I never thought about talking to Jenny?" It's one of those things when things are in front of you, you don't see them.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like so I was like, "Oh, yeah, that would be good story to highlight."
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you highlighting it. And
Yeah,
yeah.
But with your addiction, people say it takes minute to minute to stay clean. It was moment to moment that whole day. It was either take the decision to go to the outpatient program, try to get the help that I can, and hopefully get somewhere. Otherwise, I was back on the streets. And like you said, you just turn back to what you know, and you go to the places that are available. And being able to have, the Living Free House and Megan's Hope House is just like, I think there should be more of them everywhere.
Oh, yeah, and
Not just like not treatment centers, because there are, like I said, the YWCAs, the long-term treatment and intensive class and stuff. But to have a transitional home that, is faith-based and
it actually helps you to get
does.
through it. Yeah, and I commend you for even making that decision to say, you know what, I'm not gonna hit the street. I'm gonna go to the outpatient right now, because I know exactly what's gonna happen. Because that's courage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Megan's house, is that the same as?
Yeah, our house is called Megan's Hope House, and it's named after a resident that we had who was, she was just very inspiring. She came to us from B.G. Clark, and she had a very hard life. But so she came, and so she did really well, and she was a hard worker, and she decided she was ready to move out, and she moved out. And then like 2 months after she moved out, she found out she had cancer.
Ooh.
And she didn't have a safe place to be. So she came back to the house. And so she came back to the house while she did cancer treatments, and she had cervical cancer, and she ended up dying. So she stayed with us until she went to hospice, inpatient, close to her family in Boone. So we named the house. She said that she was going to be a hope dealer instead of a drug dealer.
I like that.
Yeah, so she was going to let people know about Jesus and let them know that he was a better choice. So we just named it Megan's Hope House.
Because you have a daughter named Megan.
Yes.
Yeah, when I saw Megan's Hope House.
Oh, yeah. Nope, not the same Megan.
Clear that.
There you go.
Anything else you want to share? Both of you guys? Anything?
I would say, it's just, like I said, we didn't know what we were doing. We're not recovered drug or alcohol addicts or anything, so we're not coming at this as people who've been there, done that, which, sometimes some of the ladies want to discount us because of that. It's like there's more important things about you than your addiction. And, and that's true about every person, no matter what issues they have in their life. That is not their core identity.
Yeah.
The core thing about you is that God created you for a purpose, that he loves you and he wants a relationship with you. And that is what he's put us in your lives so that you would hopefully hear that and be able to start considering and eventually receiving that truth into your life. For anybody who would be willing to give it a try, to be involved, it's just having relationships with people And there's nothing intimidating about someone with an addiction problem when you consider the fact that that's not the most important thing about them. And that, that you have something to offer, even if, and most of our volunteers will tell you that they felt like they were somewhat intimidated about the idea of being involved. Just because that's not their history, and there's just such this crazy stigma about addiction, substance addiction, that causes people to feel like aliens or something, and it causes them to feel like aliens, and it's just not true. So I just love bringing people together, women together, and then, by the way, some of them have addiction problems. And I mean, I've even seen, some doctors' wives and stuff get involved in the past with some of our residents and had a great relationship. And I just want to see the variety of people to come together and find that commonality of the foundational truth about every one of us is that we were created by God for relationship with God and one another. But, when you say, what is the future of living free? The future of living free is dependent on whether people want to be involved.
Have you tried to reach out to all these churches in Mason City and kind of put the word out
we send our newsletter to a lot of the churches in town anytime that it's usually a yearly one, but sometimes bi-yearly, like the one I just finished making and we'll be mailing out.
Yeah.
People just have a lot of reasons why they don't volunteer and help with things, between being busy, between feeling intimidated or believing they don't really have anything to offer or not wanting to take on responsibility. I don't know. There's just a lot of reasons that, it's surprising. Like I said, to me, it was just, I was looking for this kind of opportunity. When we started, I thought, oh, wow, now we'll be able to be that opportunity that people are looking for.
Yeah.
And
I
found out they weren't looking.
Yeah. I mean, the need is there, but people are not willing to step up and do something.
Yeah. And I don't know. There's going to be plenty of things I'm not good at, and it could be getting the message out there or making the right connections. I don't know. Yeah.
And maybe some of them don't even know you exist.
Right. And I'm thankful there is, I'm not doing the jail ministry anymore. There's a group of ladies from Clear Lake that are doing it.
Okay.
But they are sending references to me of women, sometimes women that they make connections with as far as letting them know about living free and the house and everything. And so. And
there's somebody, Quinn still doing for men? He's still going to do jail
Ken Quine, I believe he's retired.
Oh, okay.
So he does do the jail ministry though.
Okay.
But from my understanding, I haven't talked directly to him for a while, but I don't know what men's houses there are in Mason City anymore.
I know that they have a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple, but Ken doesn't have any.
Okay. Molly, anything you want to add?
I know that with being clean this time around, it's taking the, choosing to make good decisions. Even if it's under, a structured environment, that structure to me isn't threatening in any way like it could be for some people.
Okay.
Whether, the disagreements that people have with other people or, oh, I have to drop this and I have to drop a UA. And, just answering to somebody even though you don't feel like you have to. Like, you just kind of got to come out of yourself and completely be willing to listen to, where your problems really lie and actually giving a genuine look at what's gonna help you. Because that's what the house does. It takes you off the streets. It helps you get involved with whatever, it's just a wonderful place. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to be there.
Great.
I would say that right now, I think all 4 of our ladies are there totally by choice. We have had some ladies that are there because it's part of their parole or probation.
And sometimes that might be the trigger to help them be like, oh, I needed this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you help them to find work as they come there?
As much as you can help in pointing to different options.
Yeah.
We don't have any special connections with any workplace or anything, but so, I mean, we have people working. There's Caribou, there's Prime and Wine, there's
This way.
Yes Way,
Okay.
and then there's the hotel.
Okay.
Are the 4 workplaces represented in the
Okay.
residents we have right now?
Okay. Would that be helpful? Like if you have employees?
Oh yeah, if there's
actually-
somebody that says, we'd be glad to receive application from your residents.
Yeah.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, that's all I have. If you guys wanna throw anything, good. We're good.
I'm good.
We're good.
No, I think that's good. I can't think of anything else.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
All right.
Thank you.